With the Boston Celtics awaiting their Eastern Conference Finals Game 1 matchup on Tuesday, the question marks revolving around Kristaps Porzingis' injury is rampant. We already know that he is out for Game 1 and Game 2, but we got a little bit of an update for you guys today with him ramping up and looking like he could be back for this series with an update that is huge for all Boston Celtics fans. We're going to be diving into that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive in on all of this Boston Celtics news, 63% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed and would appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe button down below as we provide daily Boston Celtics content and coverage for you guys. All the drama, all the news leading in from the postseason through the offseason, this is the place for you. Tomorrow we're going to have a preparation live stream doing a radio call-in going over our matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we'll have live watch-alongs throughout the Eastern Conference Finals and the Finals if the Celtics make it. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys tune in for that. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And like I mentioned in the introduction, Kristaps Porzingis is progressing to come back, and that is huge for the Boston Celtics. Now, in yesterday's video, Josh broke it down. He did a fantastic job kind of diving in on Kristaps Porzingis being out for the first two games due to Adrian Wojnarowski kind of announcing that already for the Boston Celtics. But as we can see from this team, Joe Mazzulla said Kristaps Porzingis is in a great place mentally and asked whether there's optimism he'll return sometime this series. Mazzulla said that he's an optimistic person in general. And if we want to look at this, you guys can see Kristaps Porzingis. I am in the background, but you can see that he was on the stationary bike at the Celtics practice today and was hoping to remain to come back in this Eastern Conference Finals matchup. And I think that this is absolutely huge for the Boston Celtics here. Having Kristaps Porzingis really working on that bike, making sure he can be ready to go, and having Joe Mazzulla with this fantastic optimism brings a smile from ear to ear for me as a Celtics fan. I think that we do need Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, Al Horford was fantastic in Game 5 for the Boston Celtics and really coming up. But as we've seen with this squad, even in that Cleveland Cavaliers series, Al Horford got tired at some points, Luke Kornet got tired at some points, and needing Kristaps Porzingis wasn't necessarily needed for us to win the series as we kind of predicted going into it. The Celtics obviously won in 5. But having Kristaps Porzingis would have taken the load off of some of these guys and made it definitely a lot easier. And guys like Al Horford in games 3 and 4 shot 0 for 10 combined from three-point range. Now, obviously, in Game 5 was fantastic, was that hero, was that unsung guy that kind of rose through the ranks and delivered for the Boston Celtics to get that dub. But Luke Kornet, playing defense on Evan Mobley, allowed 33 points. And we had seen with Bam Adebayo, he did his job. Versus Evan Mobley in that series, he could match him some nights, but some nights he was just getting the best of Luke Kornet. We didn't get to see any neemias, didn't get to see any Oshae Brissett, didn't get to see any Xavier Tillman, and that was kind of confusing for some Boston Celtics fans. Kind of running with the same guys. We all know Kristaps Porzingis can't come off switches. Al Horford wasn't able to come off switches, and even though sometimes it worked out on Darius Garland, there were a lot of times throughout the series where Darius Garland or some smaller guys like Caruso or Max Strus beat Al Horford and got some easy baskets. So in my honest opinion, having Kristaps Porzingis for regardless if it's the Pacers, if it's the Knicks. At the moment right now, as of recording, we're at halftime around the game. The Pacers are up. So it's looking like the Pacers right now, but we ultimately do not know who we're going to be playing. But regardless, if we're going up against the Pacers or if we're going up against the New York Knicks, we're going to need Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, in revenge versus the New York Knicks, kind of going at it against Isaiah Hartenstein and stuff like that. But versus the Pacers, they've used Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner as key focal points for their offense throughout the playoffs. Versus teams like Milwaukee and versus teams like New York. And with Kristaps Porzingis being down, that main focal point in the front court for the Boston Celtics, I'm sure that if they match up against the Indiana Pacers, that's going to be the same game plan that they take versus the Boston Celtics. So having guys like Horford, Luke Kornet really step up is going to be necessary, like we had seen through the first two rounds. And I think they'll be able to hold their own, don't get me wrong. But I do want to see Kristaps Porzingis back. I want to see him at his best capabilities, and I think we will see it. I think by Game 3, Game 4, you will have Kristaps Porzingis back in this lineup. They're resting him, making sure that he doesn't end and blow out anything else, so he will be 100% ready to go when he does come back. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you guys excited to see Kristaps Porzingis back? Are you guys in the front that we should rest him for the rest of the Eastern Conference Finals, regardless of the opponent, just so that we can have him for the finals to go up against possibly Jokic, Karl-Anthony Towns, or now even Derrick Lively and Daniel Gafford? Let me know what you guys think down below. But we got to get to the next part of the video here. We're just talking about how everybody is locked in. Now, obviously, the Boston Celtics, the one team in the semifinals that avoided the Game 7. Actually, that's a lie. 2 of them did. Obviously, the Mavs kind of finished up in Game 6, my bad. But 2 Game 7s are on here tonight in this afternoon. So Celtics, one of the 2 teams to avoid that. And they got some extra practice in, got to get locked in. And we got some great quotes from Jrue Holiday, Joe Mazzulla, and Payton Pritchard. So first, let's dive in and look at what they had to say. Joe Mazzulla, on how he approaches this time off, said, "You got to stay engaged and locked in mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Because there's a fight coming up. It's going to be a long one, and we're just coming out for a fight." Jrue Holiday asked on how he was to describe Joe Mazzulla's style as craziness multiple times. Because he's crazy. If everybody knows Joe, they know he's crazy. That's pretty much it, which I think is crazy to see. Joe, we obviously saw preparing for the Cleveland Cavaliers Orlando Magic series, was locked in with this squad. They had the crowd booing through the Auerbach Center. They had, them practicing their free throws multiple times. They told the media that they'd be done with practice at, 10, 11 o'clock. They didn't finish till 2 p.m. This team is locked in, ready to go, regardless of who it is. And they said, preparing for that Cleveland-Orlando matchup, that they were preparing for basically that matchup, but then depending on who won, they would work some little intricacies into their defensive or offensive scheme. But I'm sure that that's how they're viewing this Pacers-Knicks series as well. They obviously are preparing for both teams to be ready mentally, physically, emotionally, everything ready to go. But then Joe, once he finds out this kind of finale of this series, how we will find it out, this afternoon, we'll kind of get some game plans going down, and we'll kind of really work those intricacies in, regardless of the matchup. If it's the Pacers, maybe working into their fast style of play, kind of slowing them down a little bit. If it's the New York Knicks, maybe don't let them get set into their offensive defensive schemes, and kind of go the inverse with Indiana, kind of speed it up on them, which I think is really great to see. And Jrue mentions he's crazy. I know that Isaac has talked to me multiple times about how Joe Mazzulla is a very passionate guy, very, wants to go balls to the wall, wants to make sure that things happen, and that's what you want to see out of a head coach. Not craziness, I would really necessarily say, but locked in mentally, physically, and, making sure his players are feeling that passion, feeling that, and that's what you love to see out of a head coach in Joe Mazzulla. He also says that he locks in for Joe Mazzulla's session like he's in school, saying you definitely have to pay attention to the things that he says. Sometimes he might talk kind of fast, and he might want to talk through something, and you kind of have to be like, wait, slow down. So kind of like me a little bit. I've seen some of your comments talk a little bit fast here and there, a little bit of a joke, but, got to slow down. But he locked in like in school with his head coach, proves to me if he's doing that, Jrue Holiday, the veteran, the stars like Jayson, Tatum, Jaylen Brown are doing it. The role players like Sam Hauser, Payton Pritchard, Luke Kornet, they're doing it. So top to bottom, this whole team is locked in with their head coach, and it's what I love to see as a fan. Finally, before we wrap this up, we wanted to break down Payton Pritchard, saying he wanted to focus on his mental strength, saying that they're talented, and they think their biggest step is how do we mentally bridge the gap with our talent. I think mentally, if we're mentally as strong as we're talented, I think we're really, really dangerous. And Payton Pritchard, you don't got to voice that to anybody else. I know mentally, you, Kornet, Hauser, you guys are locked in. You've had games where Pritchard has stepped up versus this Cavaliers team in, earlier on in the series, hitting some big shots. Luke Kornet defensively, guarding Bam Adebayo, guarding Evan Mobley. I know I mentioned not the greatest on Evan Mobley, but did his solid job guarding Evan Mobley a majority of the time. And Sam Hauser hasn't had that really explosion from three-point range so far in Series 2, but in Series 1 versus the Heat, had that big second quarter in Game 1, had that big Game 5. I'm sure he can, come up for abundance again in this series versus the Pacers, versus the Knicks, and really go off for the Boston Celtics. Top to bottom, this team seems locked in, ready to go. I'm locked in and ready to go, so I'm ecstatic to see them. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Hearing all that passion from Joe, from Kristaps, from Payton Pritchard, from Jrue as well. But lastly, as you guys know, got to get to the comment of the day here. If you guys do not know comment of the day, drop down your thoughts so you can get featured for today's or the next comment of the day. Josh did our video last time. I want to say shout out to Josh coming through, helping out your boy. I was at a graduation party, so if you guys missed me, that's where I was. We're looking at the comment of the day on Josh's video. Carolyn Bar 770 says, KP, we're ready. And Carolyn, we're ready as well. We're ready for KP. Come bring him back. Celtics need him. Game 3, I'm expecting him to be ready. If not, Game 4. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys expecting Kristaps Porzingis, or do you guys think he's going to be sitting out this whole series? Once again, we have a radio call-in live stream tomorrow. I'll announce it on the community page. We're going to prepare our matchup versus the Knicks or the Pacers, whoever comes victorious, and we'll have a live watch-along or radio call-in stream to do that for you tomorrow afternoon. Then Tuesday, we're back with the live watch-alongs, ladies and gentlemen. Throughout the Eastern Conference Finals, we will be live here. But with the Knicks, you might get to see Knicks Digest on here. If not, if we're playing the Pacers, you'll just see me. We'll have those live breakdowns. I really appreciate everybody that comes out to those. So if you guys, again, want to make sure you stay tapped in, up to date with all of that stuff, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, as we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the playoffs, and we're less than 100 subscribers away. I greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video on Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. I'll catch you guys at the next one. Peace out and go Boston Celtics.